This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, good morning. Are you able to hear me? Sorry for the delay. There was some problem with connectivity. I could manage to fix it. Are you able to hear me, guys? Okay, so let's move on. So we were discussing about the migration concepts and few concepts around recovery vault. That's what we were discussing. We'll try to quickly recap that whatever we have been discussing, because there was a gap in between. I couldn't able to continue with that in a right flow. Let us go ahead and try to kind of recap whatever we discussed, so that we are all in a right path of understanding. Okay, so right, let me put everything on a MS Paint. and Notepad. Right. So we were discussing about the migrations, and migrations within the migrations. We were talking about the migration process. Within that, there are multiple phases like assessment, migration, and then post migration activities, and so on. Right. So that was the discussion what we were having in our earlier classes. Now, to quickly recap, as we said, the migration process involves multiple steps and multiple environments also. Let us first quickly recap what are the environments that which you will migrate. The first one that what you will migrate is on-premises environment, right? On-prem physical servers it could be, right? On-prem physical servers. And it could also be on-prem virtual servers. On-prem servers. The third thing that what within this virtual, there could be different types of virtualization environment within your organization, right? There could be VMware ESXi, Hyper-V, right? This could. And physical servers, anyway, we all know that, right? Or it could be a migration from another cloud. Another cloud to Azure. Right. So these are the situations or scenarios that which we will be getting into. Or sometimes you also migrate within the Azure from one region to the other region, right? That is also possible. Azure to Azure. That is also possible. Right. So all these are all different scenarios and situations, and based on the scenario and situations, we will use different types of tools and different methods. Right. So what we were discussing the other day when we were having the classes is migration of your virtual servers, which are on-prem, to your ESXi as to your Azure, right? So, and our on-prem we discussed about something called as VMware ESXi. So that's what we are going to look into it. And Hyper-V is also a similar thing, but we use a different way of migration, but the concept will remain same. The tools might vary, but the concepts will remain same. Right. So to do all these migrations, what Azure provides something called as recovery services vault. Recovery services vault. Right. We had seen this recovery services vault. What is this recovery services vault? Recovery services vault has two different features. One feature is called as backup, and second feature is recovery. Site recovery. Right. These are the two features that what your recovery services vault will have. Let me quickly go and show you that in our portal, Azure portal. Let me log in. Right. So let us go to recovery services vault. Within this recovery service vault, you can go and create your own recovery vault, which will basically give you the option. Now let us say that I already have a recovery services vault which I created. What are the options you see here? You see an option called backup, and you see an option called as recovery or site recovery. Right? These are the two options. Now backup is anyway is a backup solution that which we'll also be discussing today. And you have a recovery solution where you go and migrate. Right? You see the preparation of infrastructure and replicate the application, manage the recovery plans. This is what your recovery services vault. And using this portal, you will migrate your virtual machines or your physical servers on-prem or whatever. Right? So that is what your recovery vault services. As I said, it comes with two options. One is site recovery and second one is backup. Right. So the scenario that what we are going to look is about this one, right? So on-prem ESXi environment to Azure migration. We'll also discuss at a high level how do we go and do it a Hyper-V migration on physical server migration, but mostly we'll concentrate on this. Now for this migration, as I said, there are multiple phases. First phase is called as assessment phase. Assessment phase. And in the assessment phase, we said that we'll use a tool called Azure Migrate, right? Azure Migrate tool. Right, in the assessment phase, we use a tool called Azure Migrate. Now, how do I use this tool and what are the things that which we need? We'll be discussing, but there is a tool called Azure Migration tool that which will help you to get the details of your workload on premises or on premises VMware environment, the utilization and so on. Now, apart from that, we had also discussed that we need to discuss with different stakeholders to understand their requirements, dependencies across the different servers, and grouping the servers in a right, grouping the putting the servers in the right groups, right? When you group them and migrate them, all the interdependent or dependent servers should be migrated in a planned manner. Otherwise, there could be communication issues and so on, right? So that we need to avoid it. Now, to use this assessment tool or the migration tool, we have something called as a service that which we should be using, which is called as Azure Migrate Service. Azure Migrate Service. What is this Azure Migrate Service does is it basically helps you to create a platform where you can capture the required information using this assessment tool and feed that information to a project that which will be part of your Azure Migrate. So Azure Migrate Service will help you to create a project which will have information, whatever you get from, Migrate tool, Azure Migrate tool. Right? Will be there. So once you have this assessment phase done, so you are still not here in the recovery phase, right? You are still not here in the recovery services fault where you go and migrate. No, the initial part is you use this migration tool and perform the required activities whatever are needed to capture the information, talk to the stakeholders, get the information and group them in a right format. Right, group them in the right format. Otherwise, we'll end up in lot of problems. Okay. Now, let me go and show you how do we get into that Azure Migrate. Right. Just go and type Azure Migrate. Right. Or you can also go to the migration project. Either way, it should be fine. I'll go to the Azure Migrate. And here I have to create a project. Right here, I have to create a project. Right, which this project will help you to talk to your on-premises VMware environment, right, and capture the data. Right, let me go and create a project with the name migration project. And I'll create, or let me see if there is already a resource group. I'll put that in MRG, which is migration resource group. And then I'll go and I think you can select any one of the location. If I select United States and create, it should create the resource in US. The other day we had some issues when we were creating United States. I'm not sure what was the problem. You created a project, right? So this project will hold some configuration assessment information, right? All the assessment information that whatever you have will be part of this project, right? So to configure this project, to enable the discovery process, we call it also as a discovery process where you go and discover and assess the environment, right? Now what we need is we need to go to the discover and assess option here, or you also see getting started discover and assess option, right? Go and click discover and assess process. And this has got two steps, right? The first step is what it is asking you is discover assessment process will need a OVA file that which needs to be imported, right? If you click on this discover machines, what you see, it will take you to a download option, right, where it will help you to download a OVA file. This is your migration OVA file, right? You can see this. A collector appliance enable you to discover on-premises machines, which are virtual machines created from the appliance. The appliance continuously profiles the on-premises environment for the performance collection data, right? So and it basically generates a report, right? So that's what your OVA file does, and which is around 18 GB of space, right? So which you need to go and download the OVA file, and then you need to import that into your VMware environment, which I had already done. If you can go and see it, there's a file that which you go and use it. Now, how do I import? Go to the VMware environment, click on File, Deploy OVA file, right? It will ask you the file path of the OVA file. You can select OVF, it will also support OVA. Browse and provide your location where exactly your OVA file is. Say open and then next. Then it will import that particular file. If you see it, it will import that particular file. You give the name and the storage and so on, right? That name is already there, so that's why it is, right? Which storage, data store, and disk format, and network mapping, which network through which it has to communicate, and then complete, right? So once you click on complete, what it does is it converts that OVF file into a virtual machine, and you will be able to see a virtual machine like this within your VMware environment, right? So once you import that, all you need to do is go and power it on, which basically boots a Windows 2012 operating system, right? Which basically boots a Windows 2012 operating system, right? This is how it will. Now this Windows 2012 operating system, whatever you see here, which is an appliance, which will come with a tool called collector tool, which basically collects your entire infrastructure information, right? Now if you go and access this particular tool, then it will ask you to configure the tool itself. And for this particular machine, you definitely need an internet to communicate with your what do you call it as a uh, cloud environment. Okay, right? So there are few prerequisites like what type of cloud you want. I think we had seen this global Azure cloud, or you want Azure government, right? There are two types, and it will also validate the internet connectivity, right? If you have a proxy and you don't have direct internet connectivity, you can go and enable this particular option and specify the proxy details, right? So those things we need to take care so that you'll have access to the internet itself, right? You'll have access to internet. So I don't have any proxy, then I'll go and select it as no, right? So if you have some proxy where you need authentication, you may also have to specify that. And what it also looks for is the time synchronization, whether the time on this particular appliance is in sync with the time on the internet or not. Right? It says that there's a time difference of 200 and 320 minutes, which we need to fix to move forward. Right? So let us try to fix that issue of the time, and then we'll see if we can go forward from there. Okay. I'll get into the full screen mode. Give me a minute. Let me dock this out. Right. Hope you are able to see the screen. So it seems that there is a time variation which we need to fix it. Let us try to see if we can fix this problem. Right. July 4th. So let me go to the date and time. Right, so what is the time now? It is 7:25. Change, and then it is okay. We are in the right time zone, right? So I think this should fix the problem. Let us go and see it if it is fixed. Right, let us go and run this setup once again. Right, now you see it is done with the time synchronization. It checks the time collector service, and then it installs something called as your VMware Power CLI 6.5 modules. What is that and why is this needed? These are all basically PowerShell command lines which helps your appliance to communicate with your VMware server or vCenter server, because we are migrating your VMware vCenter servers to cloud. So that's the reason it needs something called as VMware Power CLI, right? So that's what it installs actually, right? So go and continue. Okay, let me see if internet security is blocking this. Let us go and disable that first. I think that could be the problem. Let me go to the server manager and disable ISAC security. Right, this is on ISAC security. What I'll do is I'll disable both for administrators as well as users, so that you don't get that internet pop-up blocks or whatever. And then we'll go and relaunch our collector. Right, hopefully this should work now. Right, you can see, click on continue. Let us wait for a while for that to complete. Right, so this is a basic configuration tool which is needed. Okay, now after this VMware CLI, what it asks you, it asks you your vCenter server details. Right, your ESXi environment will have a vCenter server. That vCenter server and the details of the vCenter administrator account should be provided here. Right, now once we provide the details, let that continue. Once we provide the details, you have here something called as project ID, right? So if you read these steps, that whatever we discussed are listed here. Download the appliance, create the collector virtual machines, which means that import the appliance in the vCenter server and create a collector virtual machine, configure the collector and start discovery, right? Connect the collector virtual machines and configure the appliance, clicking the run collector shortcut placed on the desktop. Then that's what we are doing. And once it is done, you have a project credentials, right? And these project credentials should be provided here. If you see, specify the project, right? Specify the project. Now here you go and specify your project details, right? Then what will happen, it will authenticate itself to your Azure project and it starts feeding that information whatever are needed, right? So that's how your entire process will run, right? So you see that your Power CLI is installed, right? And then if you click on continue, then it will ask your vCenter server details, right? Now your vCenter server will have an IP address and username and password, and then you connect to it. Then it will list you the list of hosts part of that vCenter or the clusters part of that vCenter. That's how you are connecting this tool to your vCenter server, right? And if you read this clearly, specify the read-only account for accessing the vCenter server, right? It's a read-only account. Now what it does, it goes and checks your vCenter server, collects all the information that whatever are needed and feeds it to your project, right? That is what it does. After that, you will get an option to go and migrate this project, right? Now for this environment, the vCenter server that what I have, got some issues. I'm just spinned up the machine, and will continue with this one, the feeding of this data and other thing. Tomorrow I'll keep that ready. Then we'll go ahead with that one. Okay, so this is how it will work. Okay, now let us get into the same recovery vault topic itself and continue further. Okay, so this project and this thing is very important. This is what we will be doing tomorrow. Okay. Now let us go to the recovery vault itself. Recovery vault. Let us try to understand the backup strategy within the recovery vault. Right? As I said, a recovery vault will come with two solutions. One is the migration and the disaster recovery, which is part of your site recovery. And it will also come up with a backup solution. Right? These two are part of your recovery vault stuff. Right? Now, if you click on the overview, it will clearly give you, right? It does a backup, it does a site recovery. Right? Now, let us say that if you want to back up your environment, or you want to back up your environment, whatever you have within the cloud, or it could also be the on-premises. There are solutions to back up your on-premises environment to the cloud also. Now, how do I back up, and what are the things that which I can back up? Right? So if you are using the solution of backup on the cloud, so you can back up 3 different entities. One is if you are on Azure, you can back up something called as virtual machine. You can back up something called as file share. You can also back up something called as SQL Server on Azure VM. 3 entities, right? Now, if you are backing up on Azure Stack, you have a different types of options again: system state backup, SharePoint, files and folders, and then SQL Server. And there's one more option, on premises. You can also back up your on premises environment. What is that you want to back up? Before we back up our on premises environment, we need to make sure that our on premises servers are talking to your Azure backup services, and then you will be able to go and use those solutions, right? So you can back up not only the VMs in the Azure, but you can also back up VMs in Azure Stack, which is a private cloud. Using Azure Stack, you can build your own private cloud. And then there is something called as on-premises, where your on-premises, devices can also be backed up, which basically avoids the cost of maintaining the backup devices, right? The cost of what do you call it as managing the backup services and storage and so on, right? At one point, you may end up with all the storage that whatever you have, and you have to purchase additional storage. But cloud will definitely help you to scale your storage environment to the extent that whatever you can, right? So that's how it will be. So as I said, we can go ahead with either one of the solution based on your requirement. Okay. So for this demonstration, what we'll use is we'll back up a Azure workload running on the Azure. So we are going to back up a workload which is running on Azure. Now, okay, you are backing up something on Azure, but what you want to back up? That's what the question is. Right? Let us say that I want to back up a virtual machine. Right? Now, once you click on the backup a virtual machine, it will takes me to another configuration, which is nothing but policy. Now, if you have a little bit understanding on backup policies, what are those things that which will be there? How frequently the backup to be backed up, which means that is it daily, is it weekly, is it monthly, or is it 15 days and so on, right? And what is the time that which you want to back up? At 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or whatever, or generally it will be off business hours, right? Nobody will back up their data during business hours. It will also put a lot of overhead of the VMs that whatever you are running. So most of the times your backups will be kind of business hours, right? So all these things will be defined in your backup policy. And how many days you want to retain the data? Is it 1 month? Is it 1 year? Is it how many months? How many years? Right? every organization will have a compliance and regulatory requirements, right? Auditing requirements. Based on that, you may have to kind of retain the data for years as well sometimes, right? So all those things will be defined in this particular backup policy, right? So by default, it goes with a default policy, but you can create your own policy as well, right? How do I do that? I can go to the create new, then you can create your own custom policy, right? You can see it, multiple options. Policy name, test backup, or let us say that backup policy. Backup schedule, that's what it says. The schedule, when you want to schedule it. By default, what it is picking at what you call it as 7 a.m. right? So if you want, you can change it. And you also have, right, something here, which is your time zone, So by default, it goes with UTC, coordinated universal time. I will leave that as default. If you want to change that to your local time zone, you can go and change it. Plus 5:30. Where is it? India Standard Time. Right? You can specify your timings here as well. Right? Now the next one is retain instant recovery snapshots for. So there is something called as instant restore. And how many days you want to retain this instant restore? It says 2 days, right? Now retention range, how many days? How many days you want to retain the backups, right? Retention of the daily backups, right? And again, you have retention of the weekly backups, retention of the monthly backup, retention of the yearly backup. That detail you have, right? Now, how many days you want to retain the daily backup? There is a point, right? Recovery point or retention point, daily backup retention point. You can go with 180 days. I think maximum, not sure how much it takes. Put this, then we will be able to see, right? It is around 9,990 days maximum you can go with. Okay, so that's the maximum retention of the daily backup points. And similarly, the week and weekly backup points, you should also have that, right? Also have a weekly backup points. That is also somewhere around. So it is 5,063 weeks. Now think of this, if you want to retain this data on your on-premises, it is to this extent is really not possible, right? Now that's the reason if you want to back up your data on cloud, this is the advantage you get actually. Even your workload is running in on premises, then you have to have additional storage, that whatever you want. Okay, so that's to avoid that. You can also think of moving that to cloud also, the backup. Okay, right. So what else? Retention of monthly, same thing. Retention of yearly up to 10 years. Let us see what is the maximum number of years you can go with. Around 99 years. So you can retain your yearly data up to 99 years, right? So the capacity of holding your backup is kind of to a greater extent you are retaining the data. 99 years is not a small thing, right? So whatever the case, right? So you take a call as an organization whether you want to go with a cloud backup, or if you're on premises, you can have a different cloud solution on premises itself. If you want to go with on premises backup to cloud, you can also do it. But cloud to cloud also, it is somewhere around 999 years of yearly backup retention, right? So that is a backup policy you define, and based on that backup policy, that whatever you define, your backups will be triggered, right? Your backups will be triggered and retained based on the policy whatever you specify there. Now you specified the policies. Now you want to go and specify what are those VMs that which you want to take the backup of, right? Now, what are those resources that which you want to take backup of? Now, here it is showing that VM1, because I have only one VM, I can go and select and click on backup. Now, what it does is it validates your backup. It validates your backup. Now, once the validation is done, you have to go and enable the backup. You have to go and enable the backup, right? Which is submitting for the deployment. Seems it is failed. Input of the creation policy is not proper format. Schedule time, schedule date, retention time, and retention days. Okay, so there is something that which we did a mistake. So that's the reason it is it has given us error message. We'll try to fix it. Let us go back to the recovery services vault. Go to the backup. There's some problem with it. I think we modified the date and time, right? So maybe that could be the problem. Go to the backups. Right. Backup virtual machine. Look at that policy, whatever created, it got some problem. Will create a new policy. We can also go with default policy, but I want to show you the creation of the custom policy. Let us say that new backup policy. Right, we'll leave these things as it is, but based on your requirement you can go and change the things, right? So we changed default things. That's the reason it was kind of giving us some issue. So let's select the VM that which you want to backup and then enable the backup. Let us wait for that to complete. So you just enable the backup, and what will happen is during the time that which you specified there, it will initiate the backup. Of course, you can go and take a manual backup as well. There is nothing that you cannot do it. But whatever the time you specified there during the wizard, so that is the time where your backup will be triggered. Okay, that's the time where your backup will be triggered as well. So once this deployment completes, then we'll see what are the options we have within that policy and VM that which we integrated, right? So that we can go and understand how do we initiate a manual backup whenever there is a need. So we are discussing two topics within the recovery services vault. One is backups, second one is your migrations and disaster recovery, right? Migrations and disaster recovery is one part, and the backup is the other part, which are basically two components part of your recovery services vault. Okay, so migrations and recovery services vaults and backups, all three are related. Don't get confused here. right? You can see this is deployed. Go to the resource. Right, so the backup policy that what we created. Test recovery services vault, and then go to the backup options. Right, go to the backup options, backup dashboard. Right, in this dashboard you will be able to see your complete details. Now, do you have any backup that which is turned on, and how many failures, how many things, and all those things you will be able to see here in this particular dashboard, right? But what we had seen is we had created a backup for one VM, right? For one VM, which is VM1. Let me go to that VM1 itself, the server that what we have here, the VM1. You will be also able to see the configuration that whatever you did in the backup here in the backup option, right? Here also you'll see a backup option. There also you should be able to see that, right? You can see a backup option here. Whatever the configuration you have for this particular VM, which you configured using the recovery services, should be visible here also, right? So what is that? It says it is configured with a backup. Pre-checks of the backup are done. Last backup is not done because we didn't initiate, or the timing is different, right? So what you can do is you can go and manually back it up now, right? So you have an option here called backup now, right? Which basically does a custom backup, right? Rather than waiting for the scheduled backup to complete, you can go and initiate a backup whenever you need from here also, right? So you also see alerts and jobs, right? If you see any alerts related to your backup, it can also be viewed like failures or whatever, and it will also show you the status of your all backup jobs. Now what you see here is the configuration of backup was completed, and it took somewhere around 31 minutes. That only configuration, it is not backing up. Similarly, if you are running a backup, and that backup job will be visible here, the status of that backup job and how much time it has been running and so on, right? So all these things are visible here. Now let us say that you are in need of running a in need of taking the backup, and you want to go with a off schedule backup. Let us go and click on backup now, right? So it will create a retain backup till what date? That is a date, that's what it is saying. I'm leaving that as it is, which means that it keeps the backup copy till that date, right? Now it triggers your backup. What all is happening, you can also go and see here in my view all jobs, right? You can see VM1 backup in progress, right? So it will give you the time also, how much time it will be taking to complete this backup. It will also give you the time, how much time it will take for you to complete the backup, right? So this will give you the progress and so on. It will anyway take an hour or so to complete this backup. We will wait for tomorrow to see once this particular backup is done. We'll look at how do we restore, right? So you are backing up this VM, right? But what are the recovery points I can have? Can I restore entire VM? Can I restore only file? Yes, you can do both. For example, your entire VM is down, and there could be multiple situations. Like what are those situations? Your VMs will be down. It could be OS corruption, right? Corruption of your operating system, right? OS corruption, or some virus, right? That's what virus. Now in this virus, there could be anything that which will kind of compromise your data, or corrupt your files and encryption levels and so on, right? So those type of situations, or you may lose your data within the VM itself, right? This could also be the other situation. Right? So corruption, antivirus, and then data lost within the VM, right? So those type of situation, you can go and recover your entire VM, where you are restoring your entire VM itself. And then you also have an option to recover a file itself, a file or folder within that entire VM. So in the first step, it restores the entire VM. In the file recovery part, which we will be seeing tomorrow, it gives you a disk, right? It gives you a disk, and that disk you go and run a PowerShell command, which will map as a drive in one of your machine on the Azure itself, and you can copy paste the data once you execute that command. Basically, that disk will be mounted as a temporary disk using some access keys for authentication, and from there on it will move, and you can go and copy paste the data, and then once you are done, you can disconnect that disk, right? So that's how your backup and recovery will work. So tomorrow what we'll see is, we'll see how can we restore the entire VM, and how can we I mean, in the restoration also you have two options, whether you want to create a new VM or restore the existing VM itself, right? So we'll see those things tomorrow. Once the backup is done, we can go and restore that, and we can also see how can we recover files within that particular VM itself, right? So that is something that which we will be doing tomorrow. And tomorrow, as an extension with this, we'll also parallelly look at this particular what you call vCenter configuration, which I will be fixing by tomorrow, so that we can go and complete this wizard itself, right? So we have vCenter configuration, where I need to put my vCenter server details and other stuff. Once we have that, you will be able to see information of all these VMs, right? Whatever I have here in the discovery, right? So I have few VMs in this test lab. I will be able to view the information about all these VMs in the discovery, and their utilization, and the CPU allocated, memory allocated, and so on, which we will be using for our, that data will be using for our migration. Now again, for migration, I will be using another OVA file. It's not this migrate OVA file. There's another my OVA file which we call it as configuration server. Okay, so that is also around 20 to 25 GB of OVA file, which we need to import. That will also, if you see, I will complete that tomorrow. Okay, so because this is a lot of downloads and uploads, you may have to bear with me with this migration stuff. Parallelly, we will be covering the other pending items like backup and couple of other items, whatever we have, monitoring and other stuff. Okay, so this backup anyway will take time. If you see it, last time when I initiated, it took somewhere around 2 hours to complete that. Right now it is 1 hour for 4 minutes, so we'll wait for that to complete. And tomorrow when we come back, we'll look at how do we restore, and then we'll also look at how do we kind of restore the individual file also. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And my apologies for the yesterday's inconvenience. There was some internet issue and other stuff, so because of which I couldn't able to connect back. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But these classes are little kind of extensive. So many screens, so many configurations, but you need to concentrate. Any questions from anyone? Okay, so if no questions, then we'll catch back. We'll come connect tomorrow at the same time, and then we'll continue with our further details within the backup and then recovery. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.